Afternoon, everyone. Chris Hagerstrom here with Jack Schrader and Associates, and welcome to the first live podcast webinar that we're doing in our How to Grow Your Business series. I'm very excited for today's conversation. We are going to talk about how you, as an independent agent, agency owner, should be using technology to be more effective in your business. If you were able to watch the podcast that we did with Adam Wasman, that we emailed out to everybody last week, there was a lot of talk about the issues that are going on in the industry right now. There was a lot of conversation around what should agents be looking out for, how do agents become more effective and more efficient, and technology plays a huge part in a lot of that. So we're going to cover that today. I am excited. I am joined by two of my good friends here at JSA and two of the brains that I trust to talk about things like this. We have Chris Orth, who is our Vice President of Strategy and Marketing, and then also Tyler Tolbert, who is our Chief Technology and Operating Officer. So welcome, guys. Appreciate it. I say we jump right into it. There's a lot of things to cover today. We've scheduled this for a half an hour. We might go a little bit over, but I think that this is something that's definitely on the top of mind, especially after coming back from Medicarians. Like, what did you see at Medicarians, Chris?
Yeah, everything was talking about AI, and every company you looked at had some sort of AI feature or AI sort of thing that agents could use to be more effective. And I really think that when it really comes down to it, that's what this is really all about, right? Like using tools to maximize the time that you have, because that's really the only resource that you can't get more of, right? You never get more time. And you need to be able to make sure that what you're doing with your time is the most effective use of it, right? So there are cool tools out there. There's a lot of tools out there that I don't know, it just kind of feels like a service people are selling that I didn't find really useful. So weeding through that and finding the right tool for you is really important.
Yeah, there were definitely a lot of options out there, and AI was a hot topic, that's for sure. I think though, one of the resounding things that came out of Medicarians isn't necessarily that AI is going to come in and replace us as agents. I think there was a lot of fear about that. There has been a lot of fear about that really ever since AI kind of hit the market a couple of years ago. I didn't see that at Medicarians. I saw that AI is going to essentially be a tool for us and a way for us to become more efficient. And a lot of the focus was on what do we do with it? How do we actually incorporate it into our practice? And did you see anything interesting, Tyler, out of Medicarians regarding technology?
Yeah, there was a lot of AI, a lot of CRM. I think for the best thing you're trying to accomplish running an agency or an agent individually is to match your AI with your CRM.
Mm.
So AI is really powerful so long as it has all the context of everything else that you're working on for a member. Still, the most powerful thing that I still use every day is transcriptions. Now imagine you're doing a sales call with a member, transcribe it, you can log it right to their CRM. Things like that are what really makes it powerful, cost like time saving wise.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of noise too in the technology space. There's a lot of things that agents shouldn't be using or really kind of paying attention to, unfortunately. So what we're going to try and do today is we're going to try and isolate, what are the right tools that an agent should be utilizing in their business, and then how do we kind of make them work all together? So when it comes down to basics, guys, what do you think? What do you think are some of the basic technology pieces that an agency should have?
I'll let Tyler talk about specifics, but I feel like it's important to categorize tools. And I think there's everything that you use leading up to a sale. So let's call that like marketing or how you're bringing business in. And then there's the tools that you're using to capture the sale. And then there's what's happening after that, right? And I think what happens after the sale kind of blends into what happens before the sale. So let's call those like marketing pieces. And there's a lot of tools out there that you can use. You know, my journey with AI specifically, I'll talk a little bit about this. I feel like it's the same that a lot of people have. And, you go on ChatGPT or Gemini or something like that, and you just have it create like dumb pictures, right? Or you use it kind of like you'd use Google. And I think that's a good way to get started in there. But then once you kind of have it, use it like almost like a sidekick or a resource, is really where you kind of start seeing where the power is. So if we want to divide it that way, and we can like, let's say it's just talk about tools from like a submitting business standpoint. We'll start with that because marketing kind of go all over the place.
Yeah, marketing could definitely go all over the place. Well, we there's a lot of tools that are out there for business submission, but really what you want to focus on when it comes to any of those tools is in the day and age that we have regarding all the different plans that are available, all the changes to those plans, in regards to year over year changes, plan benefit changes, commissionable plan changes. You really want to start with some kind of multi-carrier quoting and enrollment tool. You gotta be using one of those. And there's really two primary ones that are out there. JSA, we offer both of them. So the first one would be Connecture, and ours is called My Health Plan. And then the other one is going to be Sunfire. And that gives agents the ability to go on there, put in a zip code. They can see all the plans that are available, and they're able to quote accurately all the different plan options and be able to enroll. And the tools do a little bit more than just give you the ability to quote and enroll. My Health Plan, for instance, Connecture, will show all of the available plans, whether or not you're contracted and ready to sell for. You'll be able to see the ones you can sell. You'll be able to see the ones you can't sell. And then it'll highlight things like, well, this plan's not commissionable. So it'll give the agent the information that they should have at their fingertips without having to keep every single carrier spreadsheet of non-commissionable H codes and available on their desk. So it makes the business process a little bit easier. And then the tools themselves help with the entire sales process. So one of the big things that happened from a compliance standpoint a couple of years ago is agents now have to record their sales calls. So any call within the chain of enrollment needs to be recorded. And when that rule came out, there weren't many agents or agencies that were working in the space that even had the capability of recording those phone calls. And the nice thing is Connecture and Sunfire kind of jumped out immediately and said, hey, we can do this within our tools. So the tools will give you the ability to record your phone calls. They give you the ability to do the scope of appointment form, which is still necessary and necessary evil, if you will, in the process. But it makes it makes the enrollment process as efficient as possible. Now, I'm not saying don't go out and use a carrier's enrollment portal if you have to. If some carriers just don't participate in any of those multi-carrier tools, and that's fine. So you may have to use the carrier tools directly from a quoting and enrollment standpoint. But if you can, you should be using the multi-carrier tools because they work with a lot of the extra kind of technology tools and things that we're going to be talking about today. So really from capturing that business, that's what you want to focus on. You want to have those multi-carrier quoting tools. If for the carriers that don't participate in those, you want to understand what their enrollment capabilities are specifically. But from a starting point, your multi-carrier tools are going to be your best tools.
Yeah. And one other thing about that, right, is I've gone down this road a little bit with our launch of core last year. And I worked with agents for a long time, but having data in one space or even like the least amount of spaces that you can is powerful because you can use that data, right? If you have your UHC spreadsheet here with all your clients, and then your Humana spreadsheet here with all your clients, and all these different spreadsheets, it's really hard to use that either for marketing, to put into a CRM, to do anything like that. Having it in one space makes it a lot more worthwhile. And I think we'd be kind of remiss if we didn't talk specifically about Connecture and active analytics. And one of the cool things that we offer here at JSA with that. Tyler, you want to talk a little bit about active analytics?
Yeah, I mean, that plays right into what Chris was just talking about, having all that enrollment data in one platform. We have active analytics. You can go in there and see impact of SARs. You can do non-commissionable plan comparison, what members you had on enrollments last year compared to what the plan looks like this year. And it just saves you so much time because you don't have to worry about then of a book of 200. You only have to worry about the 220 people that have impact that you need to address first.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, you want to talk about like efficiency, right? Like everyone is playing the same game the last couple of years. All these carriers are changing their plans, going SARs, going non-commissionable, massively changing their benefits. And then you're sitting there October 1st, once drugs come out, and then trying to figure out who do I talk to? When do I talk to? Right. And that's the nice thing that active analytics does is it takes all the data that you have in there and says, these are the people you should focus on first. These are the people that are probably good where they're at. Doesn't mean you don't talk to them. Maybe you send out some sort of communication and say, hey, like, your plan isn't changing that much. If you want to talk, book a time with me. But if you're okay with where you're at, that's great. And then you really focus on the people that need help first. And, the reason we're doing this series and talking about growing your business is when you're spending all your time writing the same stuff over and over. And I know that's a product of the marketplace right now. It's really hard to grow, right? You get burnt out, and you're just constantly spending all this time and energy just keeping what you have, right? So finding tools that can make sure that you're keeping what you have, but also maybe growing throughout AEP and beyond is really important.
Yeah, active analytics, that's probably one of the coolest uses of enrollment data that we've seen, because we've got agents that have been using, Connecture for years now, and then to be able to analyze that book of business on a year-over-year basis and even on an ongoing basis and have those people kind of bubble up to the surface is really nice, because you can start your AEP kind of almost stress-free. Essentially, you're just following orders at that point. I know these are the people I got to reach out to. I'm going to make these my priority. I can send an email message or a text out to all these people, say, hey, you're good to go, but if you want a review, give me a call. Yeah, it just makes things a lot easier. That's been a huge benefit of having that. And I see some questions on that coming up. We'll make sure to get to those in the future. Now, when it comes to, the multi-carrier quoting tools, having all your data in one place, the benefit of having something like active analytics and things like that, where else should agents be kind of centralizing that data for themselves to help with their efficiencies? You know what I'm getting at, Chris?
I know what you're getting at. It's going to be a CRM, right? It's going to be a CRM. Now, obviously, we have one that we have here at JSA, but I think the most important thing is that you're putting that in one spot. And if you really think about it, like everyone used to have file cabinets full of data, or they had their Rolodex, right? Like back in the day, that was really important. It's the same idea, only it's more usable. Right. So I'll give you a story. I'm not going to name the agent, but we had someone who was paying a marketing person essentially to comb through about 15 different spreadsheets of information. And then they would go through all the spreadsheets to try to get email addresses to send out something, just to do like a retire flow survey. Okay. or just to, some agents still do this, and that's fine. Getting their mailing address to be like, hey, if you have any changes to your drugs or doctors or whatever, send this back. And then I'll be set up. If you have a CRM, you can't do that, right? The other thing that when I started in sales a long time ago, I used to think that a CRM was a way for my manager to make sure that I was doing my job. And what I found out is that when like the amount of people that I talked to became bigger and bigger and bigger, like it was the only way. And I have a good memory, but it was the only way that I could keep the important stuff in one spot. Right. So if I was talking to Sally, like might remember certain things, but I might not remember, like a month ago, she had mentioned that she was interested in selling hospital indemnity products or something along those lines for my use case. So data is extremely important, right? And the thing about an agent is you're getting all this information about your clients. And all of that is usable and important. And that's your data. It belongs to you, right? So you should be finding a way to keep that somewhere so you can use it and grow from it and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's becoming more and more important really in all aspects of the world. It seems there's a huge focus on data here, but that's also one of the things that we need to be cautious about too when it comes to collecting this data is security. So for our agents who are out there and they're looking for the different options for CRM or different systems, Tyler, what kind of security should agents look out for when they're kind of evaluating all these different tools that are out there?
Well, first and foremost, it's got to be HIPAA compliant. You're going to want to ask for things like SOC 2 compliance. So that's just a laundry list of security protocols that the vendor is going to need to fulfill. Those are really non-negotiables. Those two things, they really just have to be able to provide that BAA and have that security level. Otherwise, I wouldn't even entertain it, because you're flirting with, if you have a breach, who's liable then. So BAA and those certifications protect you as the agent, puts that back on the vendor to be responsible for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that carriers too is within the past 18 months, CMS has been really pressing carriers to do more. What's the word? It escapes me right now. More audits of agent security. So you have to be able to prove agent, this tool is secure, this tool is secure. We've had agents that reach out to us and make sure that the tools that we're using are secure. So we've been able to handle those certificates. So security should be top of mind when talking about all these different things.
Oh, 100%. Like, then back to the CRM piece, I think someone had mentioned Sunfire. That's another argument for CRM, just being the central hub, because some people love Connecture, some people love Sunfire. But if you have all that information in your CRM that you control, then you can shoot it off into different systems in the future. So if Sunfire or Connecture doesn't start producing the way you hoped it would, then you can just move. So that's the benefit of using the CRM, is kind of like the hub and spoke model.
See here, we talked about CRMs. We're going to talk about ours a little bit more here. We talked about quoting and enrollment. Chris, what other pieces of technology should an agent have in their tech stack, if you will?
I guess we'll go a little bit to marketing on that, because it's really important. Communication is extremely important, right? Both for your current clients and then how you're bringing new clients in. And there's a lot of agents out there that have a good enough book of business, and I've talked to many of them that can just kind of rely on referrals. And what a great spot to be in, but not everyone is in that spot. So the question is how do I get more people in? And we're doing a presentation in a couple of weeks, a little bit about social media. I would really look at that if you're not doing anything digitally for marketing right now, whether that's Facebook, any other kind of social media, whether that's, doing some stuff through Google, things like that. I've watched over the last 12 years, the return rate on mailers go down and down and down in terms of what is a successful campaign. It used to be, when I first started, maybe like in between 4% to like 6% response rate. And we're under, like, I would say like a half of a percentage right now would be considered successful. The other thing about that is, you're spending way more money on print. It's just, you have postage, you have printing, you have sending it out, all of that. There's a lot of venues out there for you to get out in front of new people that are a lot less expensive and give you a lot more data, frankly, back. Even things like Facebook. I'm not going to get super heavy on this, but Meta will give you who's clicking on your link, how successful your campaign is doing, things like that. And in addition to that, if you get responses, you can reply to them right away. It's never going to happen with a mailer unless someone calls you, right? So that would be something that I would look at when in terms of advertising, is like, how do I get more digital with what I'm doing? And it also allows you to kind of create what I would call like a digital community. A lot of you have communities out there, right? You may like volunteer at different things in your community. People know where you are. If you have a physical office, you have your thing in the community. Like, build your digital community. Like, figure out where that is, and that's going to be a great way for you to get more leads in.
Yeah, absolutely. I just read an article the other day regarding digital advertising where you got to have a social presence, absolutely. But even just keeping your Google business account updated with the most information is going to help you out drastically in your local market. One of the highest searched terms on Google is whatever in front and then near me. So there's a lot of people that are out there doing like, I need, where can I get a patio umbrella near me? Or where can I get a plumbing fixture near me? Who's a Medicare insurance agent near me? And that's what's driving a lot of that local traffic, is just by being local and having that presence known. So even having a great Google business profile is going to help you out.
And not to mention ratings, right? I mean, I can, if I'm looking for a restaurant in a town I'm not familiar with, I am looking at ratings. And I think a lot of people my age and even older are doing that as well. It's just a great way. We've kind of changed a little bit in that culture. And that's how, instead of word of mouth, we're going and relying on what the internet is saying. And if you don't have that, it's hard for people to know that if they don't know you.
Yeah, and that kind of, I'm going to play it right back into AI for everybody, but generative search optimization is also supporting that Google reviews, those online presence. So if you want to ask ChatGPT about a good insurance agent in my area, you want to be returned on that result. That's what drives that, is having a third-party reputable source saying, this agent really helped me, and those reviews really play into that.
Yeah. Yeah. And let's just go into AI, because that's what a lot of people are probably here to talk about, right? And because it's just everywhere you look, people are talking about it, and for good reason. It's getting exponentially better every week, right? I feel like, and the reason Tyler's on this call, besides his good looks, is I don't think I've ever met someone who is as knowledgeable about AI and uses it more for a lot of different use cases. So, I think a good way to be is like, let's start at the beginning and be like, Tyler, if you're starting all over right now, okay, and you want to get into AI and you want to learn how it could help you out, like, where would you start?
Boy, I might be a little far past that point to answer that question helpfully.
Just pretend you're me. Just dumb it down.
Honestly, I would still probably start with the AI. Like, I would go into Claude or Gemini or Google or whatever, which one you're using, and put the cliff note of don't put PHI in there because they're not compliant. But then I would just ask, like, hey, I have this problem and I need help solving it, and then have it work through that problem with you, a question at a time. And then from there, you can generate maybe a good prompt that you can use in the future.
Yeah.
That's like the baseline, easiest way to get started with it, is just to start asking the AI for help.
Yeah, and it could seem a little awkward at first too when you're asking. Like, I'm asking the computer to answer questions for me, but it's incredible the information that you can get out of the AI based on how you ask the questions. And going through that little exercise that Tyler talks about really helps you figure out, if you're looking for something or if you want the technology to do something for you. Starting off with learning how to prompt it the best way is going to help you in the long run.
Yeah. I mean, even like, okay, like let's say competitive analysis. All right. So you're an agent in, I'm going to say Sheboygan, Wisconsin. All right. Just because I'm from Manitowoc and Sheboygan came to mind. And you are really interested. You want to go out and do some grassroots marketing events. Okay. But you don't want to replicate what other people are doing. You want to kind of stand out in the market, right? You could go to Google, but you could also go to, let's say, ChatGPT and say, these are the sort of events I'm looking at doing. Can you tell me if anyone else in the area is doing these events? And like, maybe what are some good tips and tricks to be successful to get the most attendance? And like anything like specific to that, to anything generic, like, hey, like I want to get more people knocking on my door, coming to my door for Medicare leads. It can do all of that, right? And I feel like the more that you use it, at least in my experience, the more it kind of knows you, which is a little scary, I think, in some ways, but also useful, because then it's kind of taking what it's learned in the past and applying to what you want to do in the future, right? Tyler, you mentioned prompts. So this is one thing that I found kind of when getting into it. Like, I feel like the difference between a good prompt and a bad prompt when it comes to AI makes a gigantic amount of difference. So like, how would you go what's a good exercise for like what a good prompt would be?
It would be, again, go back to the AI and work with it. Almost all my default prompts are awful. So I kind of use the AI as an intern or a coworker, and we work through the problem step by step. And then finally, when it's to the point where I am happy with it, then I'll have it generate the prompt. Now, everything that we just did, I want to recreate this every time. Can you generate me a prompt that is going to help me with this in the future? And it'll rewrite the whole thing for you, account for everything that you talked about, every step you took to get there. And then you just use that in the future.
What could an agent utilize AI for to help make it easier for them? Like, what little parts of any part of their business could an agent use it for?
Yeah, I mean, I still think a good transcription tool, you have to record that call anyway. And then you can summarize it for notes in your CRM or wherever you save that information. Collect, in some cases, you collect your drug information on that call and then give you a reference point later to go back. And so you're not feeling like, oh, I have to write all this down, update my CRM right after every call. You could do all your calls and then you have good transcriptions of every one of those that you had throughout the day and then do like an end of day wrap on it. And just knowing that it's stored there and it's available for you to help summarize that information.
Yeah, that'd be a huge help. What about from a marketing standpoint? What could AI do for agents to help them market themselves, Chris?
Well, I like to think that here at JSA, we have a lot of awesome marketing pieces for you to use through the pro shop. If you want like, let's say it's social media. You want to get into social media and you want to like create like some very generic pieces, okay, that you can post on social media. You can put some prompts in there and let me put your headshot in there and see what it comes up with and use that, right? I mean, the main thing about social media specifically is activity. So the more active you are, the more people you're outreaching to, the more people are engaging with you. And you could do things like that. Now, I'm going to put a big thing on here that it's really important to be compliant in our industry. So if you're going to have anything about plans or anything that's kind of along the lines of a gray area there, like we do have a compliance department here that would be happy to look at that and let you know if that's good to go. Tracking the campaigns and marketing stuff that you're doing, right? So put that information into, say, like, I did these events, I got this much return. This is how much I spent on it, and get kind of like a rolling sort of idea of like what you're spending and what that return is a really great way to kind of examine your business and what's working and what's not, right? Otherwise, I'm guilty of this myself sometimes in my own life, is you're throwing darts at a board and not knowing like, really what the best thing is to do there. So using it for things like that is something I would definitely recommend. And then I use it as an idea board, really, to be honest with you. And I think sometimes it's a slippery slope because I feel like it's very positive. So what I do is, my wife is going to hate this, but I come up with an idea and then I bring it against her because she's kind of the opposite end of that spectrum and be like, that was an awful idea. Right. But I think it's a good way for me to kind of get my thoughts in one place and kind of see those like sketched out. Makes sense.
Yeah, make the roadmap for your thoughts, definitely. When it comes to technology, I want to say there has been some advancements recently, but there's not a whole ton of advancements. I think the tools that we use as agents are getting better. So any advancements we're seeing are with the things that we should have. We should have a CRM. We should have the multi-carrier quoting tool. We should be finding ways to utilize AI in our business. So as we look towards the future, what are things agents would be looking forward to or looking to now to help kind of future-proof their agency, or at least get them set up in a position where anything that comes up in the future regarding technology, that they're going to be able to handle any of those advancements?
Yeah, I mean, as it relates to AI and even any other new tool that might enter the market, it's really important that you have complete access and control of the information. Storing that information in Connecture or Sunfire is great. Just make sure you have a copy of it somewhere else. Getting that information back out of a kind of captive platform like those both are is really hard to do. So having that information in a CRM or even a series of files is better than just keeping it locked behind there. So you want to have as much context as what it's called the AI is, and that means files, information, CRM access. So that way it can actually help you with something. There's Otherwise you're kind of up to the vendor, being Connecture or Sunfire, to provide that AI tool for you. That'd be my number one recommendation. Is just take control of your data.
And be like curious, I guess, is the best way I can put it. If you talk about technological advancements. 7 years ago, I was at a carrier and we were getting pushed to get people to do electronic enrollment apps. Okay. And the threshold that they had for that was, we would love to get to about 30% of agents doing it in e-app, right? And I know JSA has its own history with processing paper apps, but I mean, now there's hardly anyone doing paper apps. And COVID was a large part of that, but that's how quickly things change, and like how we work and how we operate. And it's really about figuring out what is out there for you to use and finding a place for it in your business to make you more effective, right? And I feel like in the next year, there's going to be so many more tools that come out. We saw a bunch of them at Medicarians. There's tools, anything from tools that can, like, if you take your recordings of your phone calls, it will grade them for you, create snippets for it, things like that, which would probably be more functional at a call center standpoint. There's going to be a lot of tools out there that are going to be coming out. I'd just, stay on the lookout. Obviously, if we find cool stuff, that's one of the main things we do here, is trying to find ways that we could provide things for you to be more effective out there in the market. just be curious, try things out. That's what I would suggest.
Yep. My big tip for future proofing your agency in regards to technology is don't be afraid to ask for help. One of the things that we can do here at JSA, one of the things that there's just so many community groups out there too, is ask people what they're doing. Ask people what technology they're using. If you're using any of the tools that JSA provides and you need help with that, please reach out to us and let us sit down and talk to you about the tool and the options and what it can do for you to make sure that you're using it in the most efficient way. If you see something in a market or if you see this new great widget that's being introduced and you want to learn more about it, learn more about it. If you have questions about things, reach out and get those questions asked. If things can go quickly, especially in this world of AI, things can go quickly as far as the capabilities of some of these tools, and you want to make sure that you're staying on top of it. So if you ever feel like you're behind, make sure that you're reaching out and asking for help. And I will tell you, of all the tools that we work with here at JSA that we partner with, so that's Connecture, that's Sunfire, and that's our CRM core, that's Retire Flow, those different things. If you have anything that you need help with, reach out to us and let us know, especially in regards to our CRM. We have a lot of updates that'll be coming very quickly regarding the capabilities within core utilizing AI. And it might give you some questions. It might make you look at the system again. It might make you consider jumping in. And if you have any questions regarding that, please let us know and we can help you out with that.
Retire Flow. And that's another good example of that, which we actually provide, I think, the best discount out there for Retire Flow. And like Dalton kind of launched that, like 2 years ago around there?
Yep.
Yeah. And that thing is just taken off like wildfire. And that's really just a really simple thing if you think about it, right? All these agents are sending mailers out trying to get information back. Well, what if we just send a link and we get that right back in and it's usable right for your meetings, and talk about time saving. So that's another really great example of how technology can help you.
All right, got a question here. One of the first ones that popped up when we were chatting right at the beginning of today is, does My Health Plan allow you to export the recording for a transcript so you can actually like attach it to a record in a CRM?
Last to my knowledge, we had to export that recording. I'll follow up with you guys and get a definite answer on that, because that might be a little dated information.
And I know that they're working on some enhancements to show those recordings within My Health Plan where you might be able to access them directly. So we'll get back in touch and let you know, Shireen. And then she had another question. I can answer this one. To see active analytics on your whole book, even those you enroll through like Sunfire, could you actually upload data into My Health Plan so that gets analyzed with active analytics? And the short answer I know to that one is yes, there is a way for us to upload some data in there. But the data that we need in order to make that worthwhile is all of their contact information. We have to have all their demographic information, including date of birth, Medicare ID number. We also have to have all of their prescriptions that are laid out in a way with which Connecture wants it. So there's a way for us to do it, but it can be extremely difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just feel like I want to talk more about active analytics, because it is such a cool tool. And the reason why we need so much data in there, or My Health Plan needs so much data in there, is because it analyzes everything from changes in drugs to losing your plan to losing Medicaid status to like having a change in Medicaid status. So all of that stuff. And it gives you like a list of that right in front of you.
Another one of the audiences that they just launched for active analytics. So if any of you guys have been using My Health Plan, you can get into your active analytics account. It'll look at the medications that your clients are taking. And then based on their medications, because medications are used for generally very common conditions, it'll highlight those individuals that may qualify for a special needs plan, like a chronic special needs plan, because of the medications they're taking. So there's a ton of different ways that active analytics can help your book of business. And that's just one of them. The question was, is it only available on My Health Plan, or is it also available on Sunfire? It's only available on My Health Plan.
There isn't like a tool that you can get through Sunfire. It's not as visually rich, but we can do an export and compare that book. You're just going to get a CSV or an Excel file version of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you'd get those same amount of people who have changes sent over to you, and we'll have that pre-AP. Usually 10-1 is when the carrier files come over and they can give us that data.
Hmm. We had a question come up, and this is something we didn't talk about. What would be a good recommendation? And I'm going to direct this one towards Tyler, for a commission tracking slash reconciliation tool across multiple carriers.
I mean, that's got to be kind of the leader in that area is Agency Block. They have some pre-filled templates that you can use depending on the carrier that will import the carrier statement directly. That's what JSA uses to process commissions and keep track of our hierarchies and our payments. That's the one I would recommend. I know there's a couple other ones. There was a can't remember the name of it, but they were trying to do revenue reconciliation against commission statements. But that one we started to work on and it kind of fell apart. So my
Mhm.
recommendation right now would be Agency Block.
Absolutely.
And for the prior question on exporting those calls, they still cannot do that on their own. So
Okay.
I just chatted with Sarah in our office. I'm sure you guys probably some of you work with Sarah. She's our new business manager. She's way smarter on that stuff than I am.
Can we attach AI summary transcripts to our My Health Plan client file?
There's a general notes section. So if you had a transcript, you could paste it in there.
Yep. Yep. So that lives right on the profile page. So once you search for the client's name, click on their name, you'll see it on the right hand side. It'll have the notes section. So you can take that whole transcript and just paste it there, or just the summary of it. Like if your AI summarizes, you just put that summary right on there.
I will say this, I'm going to throw a little plug in there, but give us a couple of weeks, but we're going to have some announcements on Core and some cool AI stuff within that. And that kind of goes into summary transcripts and things like that. So
Yep.
so stay tuned on.
Are there any trainings on how to record sales calls? We have, yeah. So if you're utilizing, whether it be My Health Plan or Sunfire, we do have trainings right on our Agent Resource Center. So if you go to Agent Resource Center, click on those tabs on the left-hand side. We have step-by-step demos and guides about how to walk through the call recording process with both of those tools. So if you need any trainings on those, go right ahead. All right. We had questions regarding what is Retire Flow. Okay, I can answer that one. So Retire Flow is it is a essentially it's a member survey or even a potential member survey that you send out to clients via email or text message. And what they do is they get a link, they click on it, works on their smartphone, works on their tablets, works on their laptops. They go in and they answer questions that you would normally collect over the phone or via email, whether that be, what doctors are you taking? What medications are you taking? Which pharmacy or hospital is your best? And what that'll do is once they fill that out, not only do they fill out that information, but it also collects a permission to call and it also completes the scope of appointment form requirements. So when your clients fill those out and send it back to you, you're good to go from a compliance standpoint. And if you're utilizing My Health Plan, if you're utilizing our core CRM, that automatically updates that information within those tools with that new information. So where our agents have found a lot of success with this is for new client intakes. So if they have someone who's brand new saying, "Hey, I'm interested, I want to meet up with you." After that phone call of scheduling that meeting, they'll actually send an email or a text for Retire Flow and have to say, "Hey, make sure you fill this out before our meeting." And then that way you get all the information from the client and you're not sitting there typing it in yourself. That's going to save you 15, 20, 30 plus minutes as part of that sales process of just getting those drugs and everything in there. So you could just collect that information directly from your clients and then you can get to writing the quote and make sure you have that available for your upcoming meeting. You're also able to, and a lot of our agents utilize it this past AEP, they send them out in August and September. And what that allowed it to do is it would update their My Health Plan profile. And then when My Health Plan ran active analytics on October 1st, they made sure they had all the most up-to-date information to help with, is this client in a plan that's going to cover other drugs, that has other doctors? Are they staying current? So there's a ton of different use cases for Retire Flow, and it's one of our favorite tools. And not only does it work for Medicare, they also do life insurance. They also do ACA quotes as well. They integrate with Health Sherpa. So if you use Health Sherpa, that's a great integration there. And by being a partner with JSA, we actually have the biggest discount on Retire Flow services across the country at half off. So it's a great system. Question is the core Retire Flow integration working now? By the end of the month, it will be up and running. So you'll actually see that in core. You can go to the store and you'll be able to turn on the Retire Flow integration and you're good to go.
Yeah, that's been a long time coming, but there was a lot of things on the security side that we needed to make sure we were setting up correctly, because that's the number one concern of ours. So I mentioned is it's your data. We want only you to have access to that data.
Here we drop it in there. It's going to be for Retire Flow. It's JSA 50, right, guys?
That is correct. Yeah.
So that'll give you half off on retireflow.com.
Yep. Yep. And as far as the integration between core and retire flow, that's happening by the end of this month. So there's only a couple days left.
So very, very soon.
Very, very soon. There was a question, does retire flow coordinate with Sunfire? Not right now. I have not heard if they're even working together with that. Essentially, Sunfire does have its own version of retire flow. What was it called?
Blaze Sync.
Blaze Sync, yes.
Yeah.
So that's actually also on our website. So if you like using Sunfire, and we're not really picky on whether you use Sunfire or My Health Plan. Use what's most comfortable for you. But when it comes to the Blaze Sync, so it's pretty much the same idea, same technology, not as in depth as the retire flow is, but it's very useful in that use case. And if you go over to the Sunfire tab on the Agent Resource Center, we have all the trainings and stuff for how to utilize Blaze Sync as well. So that's available for you. We were asked if we offer a discount code for Agency Block. We do not. We do not, unfortunately. Agency Block is very this is how much this tool costs, and that's the way they like to do business. So, but it's pretty affordable. If you're looking for a good back office commission accounting software, it's a good price, and they have the tools pre-built because they've been working with all the carriers for a long time. It makes it pretty simple to use.
I guess, the last thing I'd reiterate is, we have a lot of very smart, helpful people at JSA, whether that's our new business department, like Tyler mentioned with Sarah and team over there, or our AR staff is really good with a lot of this. Your sales staff, it doesn't matter who you're talking to. We have people to help you out with that. So if you have questions on any of this stuff or where you should go or what you should be doing, don't hesitate to reach out. That's why we're here.
Yes, please reach out. There is some great technology out there. There's some not so great technology out there. If you look at any of the tools that are offered by JSA, we've done our research. We've taken the time to figure out which companies are going to provide a service that actually helps our agencies out. We also take into consideration longevity because there's nothing worse than utilizing a tool and then having to bail and go use something else. So we do a lot of that kind of scanning and research for everybody. So if you're looking to jump into more technology, if you want to get used to different workflows and things like that, please go on our Agent Resource Center, take a look and see what we have to offer everybody. And like I said, if you have questions, please reach out. We are here to help you guys 100%. That is the main purpose of all three of the folks and everyone in our offices across the country, is to make sure that we're helping you out with anything in regards to running a successful agent and becoming more efficient. So with that, we appreciate you guys spending time today. Chris, Tyler, thanks for joining me. Make sure you sign up for some of our future events. We're having one next week that's going to be ran by Henry and Kathy in our office, talking about community marketing and grassroots marketing and how do you tap into the business that exists right in your own backyard. And we have events going all the way through this month and all the way through the month of May. So head to our website, click on our events, take a look and see what we're doing in your area even, and with our How to Grow Your Business series. And please reach out. Let us know how we can help you out. So thanks, everyone. We appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.